Fan Showdown, Season 4, Episode 6. Now, when we started the Fan Showdown, the whole idea behind this whole series was, could we create a fan that could outperform one of the best fans on the market, that fan being the Noctua A12x25? Well, you guys made pretty short work of that task. Almost every single season, we have at least one fan that does better than the A12x25. It's pretty impressive. However, a new boss has appeared on the horizon. The cheater. And the cheater's put up some pretty impressive numbers that are almost inconceivable when compared to almost every, well, literally every other fan we've ever tested on this series. And because of that, the Fan Showdown email, I'm starting to notice that there's more and more fans being sent to me that have like a header or the body of the email saying that this fan is going to take down the cheater once and for all. And today, one of those fans is making an appearance, and will it take down the cheater? First up, we have the Mach-E GT, which was created by Eric. The Mach-E GT is inspired by, you guessed it, the Mach-E, or the Ford Mach-E, if you don't know much about that car. Eric said that he's been watching the Fan Showdown for quite some time, and he noticed in Season 3, Episode 4, there was a fan that was designed around the Tesla rim, and he wanted to make another fan inspired by an EV, so he chose the Mach-E and created a fan that looks exactly like the rim. Now, although this looks like the Mach-E GT wheel, Eric did spend some time making that rim, or this design of a rim, into more of a fan. So it should do better than the Tesla rim that we saw previously. Next up, we have the Bat Fan, which was created by Turk. Now, one may think that this fan, the inspiration for this fan was from the DC universe, specifically the superhero Batman, but you'd be wrong. Turk said the inspiration comes from the city Batman in Turkey. In addition, I have a prepared statement from the Turk, just in case anybody from DC is watching. He says, I, the Turk, have redesigned this logo so that it does not directly infringe on any copyrighted or trademarked material. Sounds like fair use to me. Now, the Turk did go on to say that he loves the Fan Showdown. He's been watching it for a while, and instead of, studying for his heat transfer midterm in college, he spent that time instead watching the Fan Showdown, which I really do appreciate. As a fellow professional procrastinator myself, respect. Next up, we have Florian and their fan, Cone. The Cone looks like a pretty normal fan at first, but it has something that makes it differ from its counterparts. That one thing is the hub. Now, from the front of this fan, you might notice that the hub looks a little extra thick, but from the back, it almost looks normal. Now, the idea behind this comes from the fact that Florian noticed that during the smoke test, it seems like a lot of the smoke is drawn in at the hub of the fan. And they thought that by increasing the front diameter of the hub and then having it slim back down towards the rear, it'll produce better airflow and get you more efficient airflow through the fan disc, and hopefully perform better than if it was just a standard small hub. We'll have to watch in the smoke test to see if that is the case. Now, at the beginning of this episode, I made mention to a lot of fans showing up on the Fan Showdown email address, the email address where fans are submitted, that say that they are directly going for the cheater. And this next one is one of those. This is the cheater beater. And it was created by Rory. Rory says, bigger is better. Rory's hoping that the increased size of this fan will give it the advantage over the cheater. The fan is comprised of 3 parts: the fan itself, an extension piece that connects it to the A12x25 hub, and a housing that has some stators built in to improve airflow. Now, the cheater beater, when compared to like a normal 120mm fan, is bigger. It's about 180mm in diameter, and the fan itself that he chose to use, the fan he designed, was inspired by the Dark Rock 4 CPU air cooler, which uses the Silent Wings fan, which is a very popular cooling fan that does very well. And I like this idea. I like the idea of going bigger. You need to beat the cheater in airflow. Let's just try to get more air and force it down the same exact size tube and see if that improves our performance. I mean, it could. And I really like how this housing has those stator vanes built into it to try to improve the airflow, or at least the laminar flow of the air going through the wind tunnel. It should at least be quieter than the cheater. If we know anything about larger fans, like if you buy like a 200mm cooling fan for your PC, they're always pretty quiet. In the sound test, the cheater beater came in around 45.9 dBA. The cone came in at 47.2 dBA. The bat fan came in at 50.5 dBA. And the Mach-E GT came in at 48.8 dBA. Now the cheater beater is pretty quiet. It's one of the quietest fans we've seen on the show. It's not the most quiet fan on the show, but it did do very well. Now, will all this size translate into good airflow? Let's find out. Now, one thing I did notice while doing the smoke test was that the cheater beater, while drawing in a large amount of air, seemed to do so pretty inefficiently. If you look at the front or the intake of the fan, you're gonna notice puffs or turbulence every now and then, and I really don't know if that's helping the performance that much. It probably isn't. On the other hand though, if you look at the bat fan, because there's only two blades, you can really notice or really see the interaction of the blades and the airflow. You can almost see how it sounds. So, performance-wise, how'd we do? The Mach-E GT came in at 544 feet per minute. The bat fan came in at 572 feet per minute. The cone came in at 603 feet per minute. And the cheater beater came in at 639 feet per minute. Putting the cheater beater in first place, the cone in second, the bat fan in third, and the Mach-E GT in fourth. Overall though, the cheater, the OG cheater, does continue to maintain first. The cheater beater placed fourth overall, the cone 9th, the bat fan 12th, and the Mach-E GT 13th. I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing. You're looking at the board and you're like, how can the cheater really put up the numbers that are shown on the board? I mean, they're all running on the A12x25 hub. How does these three pieces produce a fan that does so much work? I thought the same. So after I tested the cheater beater, I put together the cheater again, retested it, and yeah, it's still an absolute unit. So yeah, the cheater really is incredibly efficient and good at moving air, and that's your new final boss to beat in the Fan Showdown. It's no longer the A12x25, it's the cheater, and I think you guys can do it. I know you can. You've taken down many a fans. Don't be afraid of the cheater. You can destroy it as well. But for now, it's still going to be first place, and if you want to get involved in the Fan Showdown, check the link in the description below. Essentially, go to my Thingiverse account, download the models and the drawings that I've provided to give you the critical dimensions you got to hit to make sure that your fan fits on the A12x25 hub. There's also some models there if you want some templates to get you started. Then take your design, save at least an STL file, and send that file, at least the STL file, to thefanshowdown@gmail.com, and we'll see if you can finally topple the greatest fan we've ever seen. Cheater.